Hello and welcome. This is Michelle with PaperStampInk. Thanks so much for stopping by. This is day 4 of my 30-day challenge. In the month of June, I challenged myself to create a new video tutorial every day to share with you guys. My hope is that it inspires you to create similar projects with the products you have on hand. Now, I also have a giveaway going on over on my Facebook group, and I'd like to invite you to come along and be a part of that. Every day I'm going to post the project there, and you guys can share what you have created that was inspired by that project. And then I will do drawings and randomly pick people who responded and have 30 items to give away. So one for each day of the 30-day challenge. I hope that you'll come along and play with us and share your inspiration and your projects, because I love seeing what you have created. It just inspires me as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Oh, before I forget, if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. And I will also, if you're looking for the past items, you can look for my 30-day challenge playlist, and I will have a link for that in the description of this video as well. So Lovely Lily Pad is what I'm going to be using today. This was a celebration item, so some of you may have picked this up and have it, but if you don't have this, you can always use another stamp set. And what we're going to be making today is a Slimline card. Now, I have not put this card together yet. I've pre-cut some items and kind of have some thoughts, but we'll be working on it together. If you haven't seen the Slimline cards, they're kind of the new thing. So they are made where generally you can fit them in an A10, which is your basic like business envelope, mailing envelope that you have. Or we can make our own envelopes, which we're going to do today. We're going to make an envelope for this as well. But I have pre-cut this one. It was an 8.5 by 7 inch piece of cardstock, and I scored it at 3 1/4 or 3.5 inches, sorry. And then I have an 8 1/4 by 3 1/4 piece of Whisper White to put on the inside matting layer. And then I have an 8 1/4 by 3 1/4 piece for the front mat. And this comes from the Lovely Lily Pad Designer Series paper. And I think I'm going to use this fun, it almost looks like oil painting on a canvas or something. This design, I think it's a nice neutral background. And so I have gone ahead and pre-stamped some of the pieces for us, but I'm going to stamp some others because I want to share with you a tip for the doing die cuts and using your Stamparatus for that. So let's go ahead and get the Stamparatus out. I have die cut some blank items, and what I like to do when I get a stamp set with coordinating dies is I will actually take a piece of cardstock that is card base size, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and cut that down, and then I will put some of my dies on there, run it through my Big Kick, and it gives me this template. Now what the template allows me to do is that allows me to take this and put it into my Stamparatus, and you can do this with any other stamp positioning tool that you have, and it will work the same idea. But what I have is the Stamparatus, and it helps me to line those images up perfectly. I already have these mounted on a block for another project, so let me bring those back in. So I can come in here and you can just kind of feel where that stamp is going to sit in your die cut. And so I'm going to put that one right down in there, and try not to get my head in the way as I make sure that I've got it all lined up nicely inside. I'm going to pick that up, and then I'm going to come and place my piece of cardstock that I cut out right down into there so it sits nice and neat. And then we're going to use, this is Highland Heather that I'm using for the cardstock color, and Gorgeous Grape. Boy, that pad's sticky for some reason. So Gorgeous Grape, and I'm going to come and put my Gorgeous Grape ink on this stamp. Swing that over. Stamp it down on my image, and now I have a nice border around there without having to try and line that up. And this also allows me, if I want to get a nice deep color, which I want this really rich and dark, to re-ink, bring it right back in the same spot. And look at how nice and crisp that is now. So I've gone ahead and done some other pieces up that I've already stamped, but I wanted to share that with you because if you struggle with getting those dies sometimes lined up so that you have a nice edge on them, this is going to be a tip that you're going to use. If you don't have one of these platforms, you can purchase one from my shopping link that will be in the description below. And they're a great thing to add to your tool chest. So let's go ahead and just bring some of these pieces in, and I'm going to do some gluing down on here first. I'm going to go ahead and get this panel on because I know I want that on there, and I am not planning on bringing any ribbon or anything else in that I'm going to want to wrap around the back. So I'm just going to set that right on there, and let's come in with the bone folder and give this a nice good crease so it'll lay a little flatter for me there. And let's go ahead and stamp the inside panel here. So I am going to pull that stamp back off of the Stampin' platform after I clean it off so I don't get inky fingers. I'm bringing in my Stampin' Chamois. This is another great tool if you don't have one of these. Just keep it damp, and I keep it in a little DVD case so it keeps it nice and tidy, but I love that I can just pick it up and easily clean off my stamps that are on my Stamparatus as well. And so I just want to come and I want to do a little decorating, I think, on this inside panel. Let's not leave it too plain. So I'm going to put one of these large images down there in the corner. And then I think I'm going to bring this small one and put it down here. I love just taking this and going off the edge a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring in these little ones that are kind of bulbs here. And I'm not worried about those crossing over. That is fine with me. If you were worried about it, you could go ahead and mask those off. But I like the nice fun graphic lines on there. So if you've been participating in watching my 30-day challenge, I'd love to hear from you on what kinds of projects you enjoyed. And if you have or haven't, I sure would love to hear what projects you'd like me to do as part of the 30-day challenge. I do have some of them already kind of ideas in my head on what I want to do, but I definitely don't have all of them. So I would love to hear from you. And I can take that into consideration when I'm coming up with my plans. So these die cuts are part of the lovely Lily Pad suite as well. And it's only so long, so I had to cut multiple of these to reach all the way across the card. And let's see, I might only need 2 of these because I'm going to put my flower image down there. So I think that's good. I want to make sure I bring these up high enough that my floral image has room to go down to the bottom of the card without hanging off. So I'm just going to use my liquid adhesive, my liquid glue. That's my favorite. If you haven't watched me, if you watch me for any time, you're going to know it's always my go-to adhesive. So Just need a little bit of that, and I'm gonna try and make sure I'm lining this up straight with the other side there. I love the detail on this, and it does fit across. If you have a standard card size, this will fit across the card itself, but just this one's a little bit longer. So all right, and that's not going to 100% fit along there, but I am going to bring in this lily pad, and that's going to cover that little bit of a gap we have there in the design. Bring that in, and then we have some of these smaller ones and some of these die cut images. I don't use them on this card. They'll be ready for another card to have some beautiful pieces to put on there. So let's see. Got this other smaller one. I think I'm going to put that over there. I think I like the idea of having that a little bit offset for another partially bloomed lily, a smaller one. And I could put these on pop dots or dimensionals, but I think I'm going to hold off on doing that. So one of my thoughts was to slide some of these behind there to create even more dimension. I don't know, let me know, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments what your preference is. I'm debating on that. So I've got them with or without. I think I'm going to go for without. I'm going to go for a little bit simpler look. And then I've got some glitter enamel dots. I love the glitter enamel dots, and I've got them in these purple. You know what? I think I'm going to bring in some of these green to match the green here. Oh, and for these colors I used Granny Apple Green and Garden Green for the ink. So Granny Apple Green for the base and Garden Green for the ink color on that. I'll just put a few out there, and I think I'm going to come and put a few more over on this side because it's a really long card. I just feel like it needs a little something more over here. So I'm going to try and not exactly mimic what I did over on the other side, just to add some interest. I'm putting 3, but not the exact same layout. And I think that is our card is done. And I've got these fun pieces I'm going to have to use to create another card, I believe. So you might see that in the 30-day challenge, or I might just be posting it over on my page. Well, I almost forgot to share with you the envelope for our Slimline card, and so I'm back with that information. And we're going to start with an 8.5 by 11 size piece of designer series paper. Again, you could just use a business card envelope, but hey, let's make it fun and pretty. So we're going to take this, and I'm going to score it at 2 1/8. And then instead of trying to subtract that, you know, from the 8, I decided I'm just going to flip it around and score it again at 2 1/8 on this side. That's on the short side. And let's see, make sure I get that down there. And then on the 11.5-inch side, I'm going to score this at 2.5, and then again at 11. And that is all that we have to do with that. I'm going to bring in my long scissors, and we are going to just do a little bit of trimming. We're going to cut out, let's see if you can, I think this might be the easiest. Let's go ahead and fold on those score lines. It makes it a little bit easier to see our lines, but we're going to cut out all 4 corners of this piece of cardstock. That's our excess that we just need to trim away. So we're going to cut along here, this corner, this little tab, and this little tab. And let's go ahead and when I cut that out, I'm going to cut up to that line, and then I'm just going to angle my scissors and do a little bit of an angle cut there. Just trim away some of that excess. And so when I come in on this side, I'm going to angle and then trim off that excess. I'm not worried about my angles being exactly the same. I'm just trying to, you know, eyeball it and make them generally to be the same on that. So now on this one, I'm actually going to cut excess from this panel. This is the part that is going to come over and meet. So I want to add a little interest by having that at an angle. There's that one. And you can come in from this side. Now, if it bothers you to eyeball things and not be exactly precise, then by all means, go ahead and draw a little line, take measurements and go down about 1/4 of an inch from each side and draw a line. But we're going to come in, and as you can see there, these don't meet up precisely. I'm okay with that. If you're not, I've got this one is probably not at quite as steep of an angle. So if I want, I can just come in here and shave a little bit off of there. And it looks like it needs a little bit more. And that's going to match up a lot better. So again, it's totally a personal preference. We've got this tab is going to fold up on the bottom. And then before I put this all together, I just want to leave this. You could leave it straight as it is, but I just want to decorate it up a little by rounding the corners of this top flap. I just think sorry if this is shaking when I do this punch. This table has a little bit of wiggle in it, and that just, I think, dresses that up a little bit nicer. So let's go ahead and come in with our glue, and I just need to do a really thin line across this one flap. Join them together. A bead across the bottom here. Pull that up. Just hold that for a moment. And then if you want to have these ready to go, of course, you could always just glue this top flap down, or if you want to, and you know, when you're ready to send it, or if you want to just have it ready to go for sending later, what I do is put a strip of my tear and tape across the top there. And this does tear, but not so easily in small little pieces there. So just put that across the top, and then whenever I'm ready to send my card, I can just peel that backing off and stick that down. And there we go. Our card fits down in there nice and snug. And we're all ready to send it off to someone special in the mail. Just make sure you are using a blank label, to write out your address so that it's visible for the post office. So I hope you enjoyed this project. I hope you'll come along and play with us over on the Facebook group page. Inspire us as well. I love seeing what you guys make, and it's a fun crafting community when we are all sharing and learning from each other. If you have any questions, drop me a note at my email, paperstampink@gmail.com, or leave them down below and I'll get back to you. Until we meet again, I hope that you have a great day, and grab your paper, stamp, and ink and make something creative.